Welcome to Take a Cue, episode 22.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Take a Cue. I'm Erik, Donough, 8th grade band and jazz band director.
And I'm Jen Wise, 4th and 5th grade instrumental music teacher.
We're two veteran educators with over 35 years of experience teaching music in New Jersey public schools between the two of us, and we're excited to bring teaching experiences and insights to you.
I am so excited, and not just because it's June. Whether you're just starting out in your teaching career or you've been teaching longer than we have, this show will help you grow with new ideas and perspectives about music education and teaching.
We hope you'll be just as inspired as we are every time you listen. Before we begin, if you enjoy our podcast, please help us out by doing a few super easy things.
First, subscribe on your favorite podcast app.
Then, make sure you rate the podcast and leave a review.
It helps people find our show who haven't yet, and we really appreciate it.
If you find that you get a lot out of our episodes, we'd be grateful if you considered becoming a monthly supporter to help us grow the podcast.
You can sign up to make a secure monthly payment using the link in our show notes or on our Anchor site, anchor.fm/takeaQ. That's all one word.
Also, if you have questions or comments about anything you hear on the episode, come and interact with us on social media. We're Take a Cue Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Jen!
Erik!
It's been a while.
I know. It's been almost a whole month.
Yeah. For our listeners, we took a month, and instead of dividing it up and doing a couple episodes last month, we decided that with everything that's happening at the end of the year, that we would take the first episode of June, that's what it was, and combine it with the second episode of June, because we had a lot going on. And we kind of still do, but a lot of the things have come off our plates, so we're excited to get back together and kind of take a look at the year. What a year it was.
It really was a year. And and I'm hoping that tonight we can kind of like look back a little bit and wrap it up and reflect a little bit. And I'll of course tell you about our blockbuster spring concerts and Erik's recital that just happened this past weekend, and our kiddos' recitals and growing, and what our plans are for our ensembles for September. So
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen, it really has been a whirlwind, and I'm kind of curious to hear how your spring concert went. You were dealing with being out because of your injury and then coming back and jumping right into the concert season. How did everything go? It went pretty well. I'm not surprised.
Listen, we pulled it off. We ended up doing all the music we said we would do and a little more, which I'll tell you about in a second, over at Riker Hill. But yeah, it was funny, like thinking back about both of my spring concerts in both of my schools. For the bands, I programmed the same music, and I don't always do that because they're not always the same ensemble.
But between each school, you mean?
Between each school. Okay. So I did the same pieces with both of my 4th and 5th grade bands. They each have about between like 65 and 80 members. So on the stage, and the band that rehearses on Tuesdays, they both learn so much from the music, but it was just amazing to see, like, even with the same amount of rehearsal time, with the same teacher, with the same, ideas about the music, they came out with two completely different results. And I don't always get recordings of both, concerts so I can hear them side by side, but I was like, wow, they have such a different sound.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, if you're not doing the same music with each group, it might be a little more difficult to compare the two. Yeah. So that really gives you some interesting insight. Any ideas as to why maybe different groups sound differently?
I'm starting to reflect and make some notes for myself. The one school that didn't have as polished of a performance. We do our lessons in the gym. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I don't think they hear themselves as well as the other group. I don't think, I don't know. It's just a different vibe. The other group has an instrumental room with a, smart TV and the whole thing. And I can, project things, and I have a whiteboard to write on and all that. So, it's just where they rehearse and do lessons is very different. So I'm wondering if one setup is just better, because I didn't say this explicitly, but like one group learned a lot from the music but just didn't achieve as much. So and I just
Okay.
I'm starting to really think like, okay, what is it? Is it is it the I have to start to think it's the space, because I'm presenting most of the material in both places in the same way. But I'm starting to think that having lessons in the gym is not as good for their listening as having it in a small room, where we can really hear each other. And, I'm not sure. So we'll check back on that in September and see, where we're at, because it was, yeah.
But I'm glad they were successful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
the kids played well. I know you were a little nervous getting back in when you had to be away for a little bit.
Yeah. So, and Star Wars was a hit. It really was. They went nuts for that one. So yeah,
I'm not surprised about that. The kids love that. Even
Yeah.
my daughter, who's never seen Star Wars, knows what Star Wars music is.
I know. It's really good. So how did your concert go? I heard great reviews from community members and everything. And
oh, thanks. I thought it went pretty well. I was happy overall with how the kids played. I think there were a few things, as always, that we rehearsed that didn't quite happen at the same level as one might have hoped, at the rehearsals. But overall, I was very happy with how they played. Was able to give out our end of the year awards to our students. We always give out an award for band, an award for jazz band, and an award for, I started this one back, I don't know, in 2018 or 2017, called the Spiritoso Award.
Okay.
Which is like an esprit du corps kind of award for a student who just is like the biggest cheerleader for band and, has the best attitude and all
cool.
of that. And, some years it's really easy to figure out, which kid is going to get each award. And this year it was kind of difficult, not because I didn't have any kids who were worthy. I had a whole bunch of kids who were worthy, and it was really difficult to kind of pin it down. So I actually ended up giving out 2 of each, because we just had a bunch of really, really, really good superstars this year. And there were definitely kids who could have also, achieved those awards who didn't, but we can't give them to everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's always a nice, fun thing. We have plaques on the walls at Heritage in the hallway by the band office, and their names are up there. They go all the way back to like the early 90s.
Wow. That's
some of
cool.
them, not the Spiritoso, but the band and the jazz band awards, which are really cool.
Yeah. That's neat. Is your name up there from when you were in middle school?
It is not.
Oh.
Greg Weinstein's name is there.
Oh. Well.
He was like an all Eastern trombonist when we were in high school.
Oh, okay.
Totally deserving. No, it's cool to see that. And I know that I have, older siblings come back and see the concert and then go check out their their name on the plaques in the hallway, or if they're coming back to visit at the end of the school year, they go over and get to see their names. And I think it's really neat to walk by and see that, like, hey, yeah, my name's on the list, but how many names are there before me?
Right.
How many years does this go? How many decades does this go back?
See, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really good thing. And I'm glad that my predecessor did it and kept up with it. And then that I've been able to continue
and that you're
doing that.
More about your concert.
So at the concert, we did, our student teacher, Martin, was excellent, and the kids like cheered louder for him than anybody in the entire concert. Like they screamed when we introduced him, and said Brendan gave him a nice big send off and thank you, and and talked to the audience about Martin, and the kids really loved having him there. And he kind of played in every group and conducted every group, or worked with every group in some way. So his march went very well. Carol would be proud. Carol Britton Chambers, who we had on a little while ago here on the episode. She was on episode 10. And we also played Christina Huss, Bamboo Warrior, which I think I talked about, which uses like taiko drums and, it's Southeast Asian influenced after her own heritage. And the kids played that really well. Then we had Paper Cut. Paper Cut was really cool. It's an electroacoustic piece with paper and with instruments. I think we talked about that one too. It went well, but it's really tough to play with kids because they can't hear the tempo from the recording. I have to have it in my headphones with a click track while I'm conducting them. And I just have to like cross my fingers and hope that they actually follow
what you're doing
to the beat. The playing is very good. They always are right on with the beat while playing with their instruments. But when they have to do the paper stuff and they're doing rhythmic things with their paper, they're like, pulling it and snapping it and like crumpling it and tapping it. They like to rush that, and they rushed it a lot in the concert. But it's a very like arrhythmic part of the piece a lot of the time. So like it eventually does line up. She wrote it in a way where you can like recover, and it's really not that noticeable. To the audience.
That's good.
So trying to figure out all the tech to get that together was interesting, but we finally got it to work. That was a big help to our tech department and to Brendan. We all kind of worked together to make it work. And jazz band played very well. Super happy with the jazz band. When I listened back to the recording, it was hard to believe that these guys aren't like a high school group.
Cool.
I get to, we have 2 jazz bands, which are both made up of 7th and 8th graders who audition. And I get the group that maybe is, can take a little more challenging repertoire. And yeah, they really played.
Good.
Which was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was nice.
Which pieces did you take to a festival? Because you did a festival this month also.
Yes. That our concert was back in May, and then we had our festival on June 1st, and that's in Allentown, Pennsylvania, near Dorney Park. And we brought the Bamboo Warrior from this concert, which was the Christina Huss tune, which is always fun bringing a tune to festival that the judges may not have heard before. So they get to learn it along with the kids.
That's great.
Which is kind of cool. And then we also did the full 3-movement Tudor sketches by William Owens. We did the first 2 movements at our first concert, and then we added the 3rd for our festival. And I thought it went as well as one could hope. It's a tough piece. There are some very, very exposed moments in the piece where there's only 3 or 4 kids playing. And, and they did an admirable job.
Good.
Going in there and playing, it's a giant, like huge mega church auditorium with great acoustics for like voices.
Right.
But when you get a band in there, it gets loud.
Yeah.
And the percussion are against this like hard wall in the back of the stage area, and then it just shoots out everything. So everything they play is really loud and echoey. So it's interesting to have to sort of tweak on the fly to make sure that you're playing to the acoustics of the room, which is something that, they're 8th graders.
Right.
This is not something that they're used to doing.
Yeah, they don't have to do that all the time like the rest of us,
Yeah. So that was something to get used to. And, I've played there a bunch, so I'm kind of used to the way it sounds. We get to hear a couple other groups from some other schools
good.
That I hadn't heard of before. And they were great. There was this 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band there that probably had 150 kids on that stage.
Wow.
20 plus percussionists.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where they rehearse them all.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. That's cool though.
Yeah, that was nice. It was a nice day, and we had a great day in the park. It was a success. I was very happy to get back and not have left anybody at the park.
Good for you.
Always a good thing not to leave kids behind.
Yep. No, that's good. And that was the day of my concert, so I couldn't join you guys this year. So
right.
Yeah.
Yes, we usually bring Jen and Jim and Mike and, a whole bunch of teachers from the other schools. But this year it just didn't end up happening because of, the schedule of the concerts. It is what it is, though we missed you, Jen.
Yeah. It's a nice day out in the sun with the band.
But then we got to do our instrument demos. I get to play for your kids. That was so much fun.
My future kids.
That's right. Well, you know them. Or they know you.
Yeah, they know. Schools. That's the weird thing. They all know me, and I don't know them at all yet. But I'm getting to know them because we did our demos last week, and everybody. We brought how many teachers with us? 6, 7? 7.
Yeah.
Seven teachers from around the district, and we all went as a troop to all 6 elementary schools, and we professed our love for our own instruments in front of third graders all week. So it was really fun. And that's how we do it. And it's about an hour-long presentation. And we talk about the instruments a lot and then talk a little bit about the program and how to sign up. And we do an online sign up here with using Google Forms, which I think is really handy. And it's, simple enough. And it seems like by this point, everybody's pretty much filled out a Google form before, so they know how it works. And everybody chooses 2 instruments, right? So it's not just like, oh, you choose what instrument you want and, good luck to me who's got to balance the band as it goes. It's like we get to have a little bit of wiggle room because we say you will get one of your 2 choices, but choose 2 instruments.
Yeah. And it's tough. There's 6 elementary schools. So, even with a balanced ensemble at each elementary school, that might mean that there's 5 percussionists in each elementary school, right, which end up with 30 in a grade. So it is tough at the elementary level to even to try to balance an ensemble becomes difficult. But I think the kids really took it well this year. I was really impressed. Most of the schools, they were really good listeners. They were excited, they weren't like over the top, bonkers off the walls excited, which is always a plus when you can actually play for them and they can hear you.
Yeah, totally.
One year I remember I do the oboe demos. This year I did clarinet too, but in the past I had just done oboe. The first year I did the oboes, I think I was too exuberant about the oboe. Yeah, you told me get the kids interested. So I can really be a little over the top if I need to be. And we ended up with like 6 oboes at a school. I think we talked about this. Maybe
we did.
Episode, but
I know.
But I tried to be a little more serious.
Yes, about the oboe. It's
about the oboe and
tricky, and you use all 10 fingers and keys.
How it's a very unique instrument. If you like something that's a little different, if you like a little bit of a challenge, you don't want to oversell the oboe.
Yes, I have 1 oboe signed up for my schools, which for the size of the ensemble is actually appropriate. So I'm okay.
We need a couple more.
Yeah, I know.
Get some second choices in there.
I was gonna say I'll have I'm sure I'll have too many flutes because that's what happens, and somebody's got to want to play oboe. So yeah, it's hard to push the oboe on somebody that said they wanted to do something else. So I've had good luck having, students switch to oboe from clarinet or flute in like 6th grade, but I know it's tough to do that as they move forward, but
it's always ends up, well, not always, but it usually ends up better getting a kid that started there because they're kind of used to it and know what it entails. But hey, anybody that wants to play the oboe, I'm not going to turn them away.
No, that's true.
And Brian on the saxophone, I love Brian on the saxophone. He's like, let me play this beautiful Twinkle Twinkle for you with this beautiful classical sound.
Yeah.
Then he breaks out the Glazunov concerto for saxophone.
And they're all like,
I mean, it's a gorgeous piece, and it's
so
impressive.
Nice.
It's not even that. Oh, come on! It's exciting. It's fast. It's fast and exciting. But it's a beautiful melody, and he doesn't even really touch the jazz or the rock side of things because there's always too many saxophones.
Yeah, I know. He picks it up, and they go, "That's a saxophone," and they like freak anyway. You know, so yeah.
I heard that on a Jason Derulo tune. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, right. Oh my gosh, and we will always have enough saxophones. So it was a really fun week, and I think we got a lot of excited 3rd graders ready to go for next year. So yeah.
Well, good.
So thanks for that.
Glad it worked out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have good instrumentation and continue on in the good stuff that we've been building the last however many years.
Besides the instrument demos, we went to a PD day.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we did. Yeah. We had the North Jersey School Music Association Professional Development Day.
Yeah, that was a nice day.
It was.
Yeah.
I've never been before. This is the first time I've been. They used to do it as a dinner and a meeting, and then there was no like professional development per se.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, they started doing it and during the day. Like after everybody's concerts are finished.
Yeah, and it was pretty successful. Like a lot of people said, "Oh, free PD in June when I'm done with everything. Yeah, why not? So free lunch, sure, let's do it." So it gets a pretty nice turnout for all disciplines.
Sure. It was nice to hear from our colleagues. They had separate band, chorus, and orchestra sections, and diversity and inclusion as well. And we got to hear from some great colleagues. I got to hear from Ken Pasek, who teaches middle school here, but is also like a world-renowned percussionist. And lives actually right around the corner from me, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I taught his son saxophone, of all things.
Oh, did you? That's cool.
Yeah, but Ken's great, and kind of went over all the basics and maybe not so basics of all like stick choices, instrument choices, and what kind of mallets to use when, and what kind of instruments to go for. It was a lot of just really good takeaway information on like how to start, or how to get your kids set up in the percussion section.
Good.
And who else did we hear from in the morning? Julia Balmanis.
Yes, from Rutgers, the new conductor at Rutgers. She was so engaging, so fun. She did some conducting exercises with us and lab band movements. We reviewed all that and how it relates to conducting, and it was really really cool. And I'm so excited to have her here in New Jersey. I think it's a great fit. I hope she is enjoying her time here, because I think she's great for that program. This is so cool to have her.
Yeah, I want to play in her band.
Yeah, me too. I know.
I think it'd be a real blast.
I think so too. It's like, maybe some grad work. Let's see how can we squeeze more in here? No,
because there's not enough going on right now.
I know, right? Because we don't have enough going on. But yeah. So no, but that was a really good day.
Speaking of having enough going on, you mentioned it before. I'm just going to jump in and say it.
Okay.
The recital is finished.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, tell us everything.
Oh, well, it was just, it was really I don't know why I ever thought it was a good idea to do it, but, especially in June, really. But it was fun to do. Holy moly. I had a great time playing, and I learned a lot about the pieces, and I haven't given a recital in 13 years. It was the first time that I've done a recital where I wasn't a student full time.
Okay.
I did both my undergrad and grad full time. So there was plenty of time to practice and work on that. And now it was like, let's squeeze 20 minutes in here, and let's squeeze a half an hour in here, and hopefully we'll be able to get the music ready for the recital. I was really happy with how it came out. And the people that I played with, Dr. Ann Matlack, who is the organist and choir director at my church and also runs Harmonium Choral Society.
Oh, sure.
She was the keyboardist on organ, on piano, and on harpsichord. And she was brilliant. Wonderful playing, and she had never played any of the music before, so this was all new for her.
Oh, okay.
And then I also got to play a piece which is a song cycle for alto saxophone and soprano voice with my sister, who is a trained opera singer from Ithaca and Arizona State. And so that was really challenging. And it just so happened that the composer of that piece, Lori Laitman, who is well known in the choral world, happened to be at the concert, and so she was gracious enough to introduce the piece and give us a little background at the recital, and she was so kind to come and to meet with us beforehand, and see us afterward, which was great. She lives in Washington, D.C., and just happened to be going to the New York Phil, so she stopped by our performance on her way to the New York Phil.
That's so great. That sounds like a really nice afternoon.
It really was. It really was. Very happy to play it, and very happy that it's done. There's some mental space left for other things or nothing. It's okay to have space for nothing, right?
Yeah, it's right. June. You can live with nothing for a little while. Yeah, we can live in that space. That works for me. So
yes.
No, that's congratulations. That's so great.
Thank you. But we're not done with the recitals here in the Donough household.
No.
Kate had her ballet studio recital. She's 4. And, they did a wonderful studio recital from age 3 all the way up to, through high school. And that was a lot of fun to see her dancing on stage. Following her teaching assistant, who's actually one of the high school kids who, works in her class.
Oh, that's cool.
And Maggie has her first recital coming up next weekend, or this coming weekend on Saturday.
Okay.
And
and on
so
oboe.
we get to hear her. Yes, on oboe. That's right. It's the whole oboe studio. I think it's probably like 20 plus students performing.
That's great.
Yeah, with accompaniment. And
Wow.
Yeah,
so
I'm super excited for her.
I'm excited for her too. Is she feeling good about her piece and everything? And
she's nervous.
Okay. I think I would be too for my first recital.
And she wants everything to be, she wants everything to be just right. She hasn't done this before, so she doesn't really quite know what to expect. She knows, it's funny, on my recital, she knows all the music pretty much as well as I do, because she just hears me play it all the time in the car. And, one of the pieces that I played in the second half is in 5 sharps. And I'm very comfortable playing the piece. It's not all that technically demanding. It's other than it's in 5 sharps. And I completely forgot about the key signature for the first measure and played it with no sharps.
Okay.
And she came up to me and she was like, "Daddy, I know you missed some notes there." And I was like, "Yes." And you know what happened? I missed the notes and I just kept going. And we didn't have to stop. There wasn't anybody that went boo in the audience or anything like that. It was just, we kept going. And even people who didn't know the piece probably may not have even noticed. So I think that might've been a good thing for her to see.
Okay.
About how to, if there is a mistake, how to keep going.
Yeah. Right before her recital and everything. That's pretty cool. So yeah.
So I was just actually thinking that after I made the mistake while I was playing and, recovering, I was thinking in my head, this is okay. This is okay.
It's going to be all right. This is a teachable moment for Maggie, So that's good. That's really
So have
good.
you done your end of the year evaluation yet?
I have.
Hopefully it all went well.
Oh, I think it did. I really do think it did. I did my portfolio. Our supervisor was happy to see that it was all in one place and she could just click all the links and access all my documents. I was really excited to tell her a lot about what we've been talking about on here, but she was more interested in the stuff going on in the classroom, as I guess she should be, but
I felt the same way, but sorry, go on.
Yeah. So, but it was good. She asked, questions like what I felt was a challenge this year and everything. And, I talked a little bit about student behavior because it wasn't like normal. Student behavior this year was much more of a challenge than it has been in the past. And we talked about how, we could, I could set things up next year to make it easier and more, conducive to having everybody, not that expectations weren't clear, but having everybody really buy into the expectations. So that was a good conversation to have. And, she asked a funny question, she's like, okay, so your portfolio has plenty of in here. She's like, but what do you do? What? She's like, I know you do 1,000 things behind the scenes. What'd you do this year that I didn't see? She's like, what did, I was like, okay. And I rattled off a couple, just little things, everyday things that,
sure.
So yeah, but my end of the year was pretty good. I hadn't had my final observation by the time we did my end of the year portfolio. So we didn't have all that to talk about, but my final observation of the year was my spring concert. And it was kind of fun to sit down with my one of my principals, and that isn't a musician. His wife, has played in band and still plays the flute and everything. But it was fun to sit down with one of my principals and be and talk about specific students and how we got them more integrated into the ensemble, and students with special needs, like what we do for them. And, I think that was really, it was good to look at for him to look at through the lens at my concert of like it being a lesson and not just a performance,
Sure.
So I thought that was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? How was your end of the year evaluation and everything?
Yeah, I think it was fine. I do the same thing as you. I put one Google Drive folder together with all of my artifacts, probably have 25 artifacts in there. And our supervisor gives us a multi-page thing to fill out and go over and put all the information in 5 different places in Genesis. And in, so it takes a little time to get that together. But other than that, like, it wasn't a big deal. I too had not had I had been observed, but I still haven't had the post-conference yet. So I didn't have the information from that. I wasn't observed by our supervisor this year. She wasn't on the rotation. So this was really the first time we had gotten together to talk about the year and all that. So it was good to, recap and go over all the good stuff that we've done with Band Day and the podcast and, working with technology and all that stuff. I mean, she asked me, what do you want to do differently next year? And, most years I hear that and I go, I think things are going pretty well, but this year, honestly, the one big thing that I know I need to do differently next year is just, I need to get back into more assessments. After COVID, assessments took a different turn. And this year it was kind of just like exciting to get back in and kind of remember how everything goes. Remember how to do this thing again after a couple years of doing it very differently. Yeah. So one thing that sort of fell by the wayside for me were some meaningful assessments. I did some this year, but not as many as I had in the past. Yeah. And I think that's good for me to make sure that the kids are where I want them to be, but also to encourage them to practice. When we have assessments coming up, I know most of them I know are taking their instrument home more to be ready for it.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I think that's something that could have done better this year.
Yeah, I hear that because, like, I know what you mean. This year felt like, oh, this is on paper a normal year. This is kind of what it should be like. And I had 2 years of kids that I started. I wasn't on maternity leave. We didn't have COVID, happening. My own attendance was so inconsistent this year. I had to dip into my sick day bank after my surgery, which I've never, I have MS and I've never had to go beyond, the days, that were just given for the year. So, except for maternity leave, obviously, but, so I hear you. It's like, okay, now like I kind of can take that next level, go back to, like you said, some of those assessments and start using that a little better. She did have a lot of questions about how we use smart music and how we use that. And honestly, in the last year, my students have not been submitting a whole lot of assignments. We've been using it a lot as a practice tool. And I'd say, like, a good number of my students use it as a practice tool, and the ones that use it are more successful. But I think I need to hold some feet to the fire next year and get everybody on there more often, So
I agree. I've never used it as an assessment tool with any regularity because I just find that it lacks so much.
Yeah.
When
it's
I
pretty
assess
cumbersome.
kids, I'm not just notes and rhythms. Okay. Like most of them can do the notes and the rhythms in the lessons. What I want to know is how's their tone? How's their breathing? How's their articulation? How are their dynamic contrasts? Like when I assess, those are all the things I'm listening for too. I know it doesn't really listen to that, but it is good as a practice tool. And that's something I could definitely probably, have them use more this year. We do use as accompaniment and, in that regard, it's useful and kind of a fun practice tool. And they can certainly use it as an assessment when they're at home to be like, am I getting this rhythm right? Am I playing these notes right? Which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell them, because there are a half a dozen ways out there they could record themselves and send it to you, right? There's Flipgrid. They could upload a recording to a Google folder. Sure. They could, there are 1,000 ways to do it. But I always tell them with smart music, I will go in and listen to it and regrade it because sometimes smart music is not as smart as we think. And sometimes, gives you credit for things you're not really doing, so when I set an assignment, I'll I set it so that it gives them like pretty much an arbitrary point value. Yep. So that it doesn't, it's like, okay, you could be seeing a number like 200, but what's 200 out of? Is it out of 500? Is it out of 1,000? Like, you don't know, because I'm going to go in and regrade it, and then the number I give you will be clear, so right. But that it's pretty time consuming when you have 100 and something students in each school, and
it is
it's a lot. So
which is why I usually opt more, and I have a little bit more time for my lessons. I have about 10 more minutes per lesson than you guys do at the elementary level, but I do most of my assessment live in lessons. So I get to I have my rubric out, I've got the information right there. I hear them play 2 lines from the book, or a couple of excerpts from the band music, whatever it happens to be. If it's a scale quiz, then they play the scales, and I have the the grade book open right there, and I've got the rubric open right there, and I can type my little notes as they do it, and it takes half the lesson period, and then and then we're done. And I found the same thing when I did more recordings. It was just taking up so much time. And also, it is good because that, when they record it, they can record it over and over again until they get it right, which is otherwise known as practicing.
Right.
So that's a good thing, but it ate up so much time.
To listen to it and grade it. And I had this conversation with one of our colleagues who, this is her second year in the district, and she, she was trying to get Flipgrid off the ground alongside Smart Music, and she was like, we're testing falls this year, where it fell this year in relation to our concert and our final rehearsals and this and that. She's like, after spring break, I was just like cramming concert music. And I'm like, I know, me too.
That's normal.
I said that you can kind of expect that. I said, most of our foundation learning is going to happen before spring break.
Absolutely.
That time between President's Day and spring break is like golden time for learning stuff. But after spring break, it's like, it's got to sound good now. And
I also, I think that, along the whole technology thing, I know that when districts go 1-to-1, they really push their supervisors and their teachers to make use of those devices. Now, I'm not saying that anybody told us to use the devices simply because we had them.
No.
But I do know that there is a push to do more paperless and to do things, making use of the tools that are out there. And there are some great tools, no question. Like I use Sight Reading Factory and Rhythm Randomizer and use Smart Music and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like the kids get so much tech in and out of school. It's really nice to just have them open up a book,
right,
and just play from the book, or open up the music and play from the music and listen to each other and give that feedback. Or, there will be times certainly when I use Google Forms or, use Schoology, which is our learning management system, to be able to grade them and things like that. And there's a place for that. But I think it's also okay to be like, what, we're actually going to put the tech away. We're going to play some music together.
Yeah, totally.
And that's a good thing. So sometimes that tech almost becomes like the tail wagging the dog. It's like, how can we use this tech? How can we use this tech?
Right.
When we're really thinking like, how can we make music, and what technology kind of fits into that?
Yeah. What technology supports that? Totally.
We could do a whole episode on like technology needs in the classroom and what we use and how we use it in band.
But, season 2.
There you go.
There it is.
But yeah, so the only other thing that was recommended for me was to get more involved in the school outside of the music department.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
Fine.
Okay. Because I'm asking because it came up in my my second evaluation after my concert as well, so that's why I'm asking. So
I feel fine. It's a fine suggestion. I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And I had actually put in my not directly in my PDP, but in my own personal goals for myself, that school I'm at Mondays and Tuesdays, okay, but when I started at that school, I was only the 5th grade band director. I only taught the 2nd year students, and our colleague Jim taught the 1st year students. And I was like, I'm here once a week. I'll do what I can, and then I leave and I go to the next school. You know,
and it is probably way more difficult when you're not at the same school every day.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. But now I teach the 1st and 2nd year kids. I'm there 2 days every week, and I feel like I should be a little bit more part of the culture there. So that was in my head as like a personal goal for this year. And I didn't scratch the surface. I think I ate lunch. No, I didn't eat lunch in the teacher's room. I grabbed a muffin twice and stood there and talked to people. I'm being real right now.
No, I get it.
Because running a whole program in 2 days, for band is a lot, you know.
When you're out of the school, it's hard to become part of the school community.
Yeah. So, you know, the end of the year gathering is this Thursday afternoon after school, and I'm like, okay, I could like pick my son up and get ready for my day off on Friday, because we're off on Friday to celebrate Juneteenth. And I'm like, or I could have a babysitter pick him up, and you know, he could go home with that person, and I could spend a couple hours with my colleagues who I don't really know. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just tough. I just, you know, and it's tough for me to like justify like, okay, at the end of the year gathering is when I'm going to make those connections and then go away for the summer. And, you know, I just, I'm like, okay, we'll start fresh next year. You know,
hey, you know, in our school, I think we've got about 80 staff members in the building every day, and it's very compartmentalized, and, you know, nothing happens at the same time. It's not like everybody has lunch at the same time. As a matter of fact, the only people who have lunch at the same time as me are the other specialists. So I don't really get to know the teachers and the other subjects through that.
Right.
But because I'm constantly covering other classes throughout the building, I think I teach in about 5 or 6 different rooms throughout the day. And every day it changes. I'm constantly meeting people there. You know, a hall duty. And when I'm on hall duty and teachers are passing by to go make copies and stuff, like I'll say hi and we'll chat for a little bit. Or, you know, it's weird. I look at some of the teachers and I'm like, how did we actually get to know each other? Because I never actually have any reason to run into any of these people. Right. You know, the music wing is a separate part of the building on one side away from most of the other classrooms. So it's tough to make those connections.
It is. Yeah, totally. I get it.
And then at the end of the day, like, okay, the day's done, but it's not like there's a whole lot going on. I mean, by the end of the, at a certain point, everybody's gone anyway.
I know.
So, you know, it's tough to make those connections, and you really have to try. Like you said, eating in the teacher's lounge. Nobody eats in the teacher's lounge my period. No. Because everybody else is teaching.
I know. It's true. My lunch starts like 20 minutes before everybody else's. And, you know, and that's, so, I know. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
So get more involved in the school.
Yeah.
That's just going to leave it there.
Okay.
So Jen, we had a really fun first season.
We really did. Oh my gosh. I know. We made some really good memories, and
we worked really hard to stay with it, to stick to our schedule and to make things happen, even when it wasn't the most convenient timing wise.
Totally. We hopped on here and made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, part of my PDP for this year was, you know, be more introspective and take time to think about teaching. And boy, have we.
Oh yeah. Big time. I mean, 22 episodes worth. So
I want to hear about your favorite moments of the year. But before we do that, I want to just kind of go over what appears to be some of our listeners' favorite moments of the year.
Yeah.
Because I have access to all the data on my end. Cool. I can see what people really like to listen to.
I want to know.
Congratulations, Jen. The most listened to episode out of our 21 episodes this year has been number 1 with Jen Wise.
Episode 1. Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Oh, that makes me so sad, because I'm like, they all listened to me and then they went and
well, hardly. Because right on your heels is episode number 4 with Lou Kelly, To Catch a Killer Marching Band.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yep, that was a great episode. If you haven't listened to it yet, go back there. Take a listen to Lou. He talks about all the cool things that he does with his very competitive marching band here in Northern New Jersey, West Orange.
Yep, that was a good one, and we got a lot of we got a lot of good insights into Lou's program. That was neat. Yeah.
And then number 3, a little bit farther behind that, but not much, was number 2, which was my episode. So I guess people didn't mind hearing from me either.
There you go. Okay. I like it. Cool.
So what are some moments, Jen, that you think about of this year as things that have stood out to you?
Oh, some moments I really enjoyed getting to connect with CJ this year. I thought that was so fun, having CJ on, and then I actually got to hear her ensemble at the NJMEA conference.
That's great.
And that I think that was a highlight for me, that we were able to get her on here this year and hear about her college experience and track what she's been up to. So I think we
plan to do that more in our second season as well.
Totally.
Keep having her back.
Yeah, I would love that. So
if our listeners didn't hear it, you can check out the first episode that CJ joined us was episode 9. And CJ's been back a few times on different episodes too. So definitely want to go back and check those out.
Yeah. And I think out of all the episodes, maybe 15 with CJ. It was like a freestyle Friday with CJ on it. I think that was one of my favorite episodes. That was really fun. And I just really enjoyed, hearing her talk about what she's up to in school and everything. So,
and we get to answer some of her questions that episode.
That's right. I thought that was fun too. So, yeah. But how about you? What are some favorite episodes for you?
I really liked some of the guests that we brought on. I mentioned it already. Episode 4 with Lou Kelly. That was one of the few episodes where there might have been more that the audience, that our listeners didn't get to hear than what they did get to hear, because we just had to keep it under an hour and 15.
I know, it's true.
Lou is great for a long chat, and I always enjoy our time whenever he and I and you get together.
Yeah.
Lots of great takeaways, like actionable items in that episode for
big
marching
time
band colleagues out there.
Yeah.
I really liked our Freestyle Fridays, where we just got to sort of kind of take a look at what the month was like. I loved getting to hear from Carol Chambers in episode 10.
That was nice. That was
about her experience as an up and coming composer, and now a composer that's more well known in the band world.
Yeah, and that was really it was really great that we got to connect with her, and our most recent guest, John Leister. Hearing his perspective on the first interview and getting that first job and getting your resume cleaned up and everything. A lot of things confirmed for me, but a couple of things I was like, oh, I'm doing that wrong. So that was nice. So every college music ed major, or really just any person going out into the job world should listen to needs
John's
to
episodes.
listen to that needs to hear that, because it's it makes a difference.
Those were 18 and 19. If you're just listening to us for the first time, episodes 18 and 19, there was so much good information, we had to put it into 2 parts.
Oh, yeah.
And that was back in April. So it was great to talk with John about that.
That was a long night, but it was totally worth it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I loved hearing from your husband, Tom, about his work in a smaller district, where he kind of is the one man show, or 1 out of 2. I think that's right. Sorry. He's 1 out of 2 people, but he's got the whole band program, and he does some of the general music, and getting to hear how he makes it all work and work really well and integrates everything together was really fascinating.
Yeah. Tom's it was, and he threw that together for us, a little behind the scenes in like a day. So I forget what happened, but it was like, oh, our guest, we need to put this off. So, hey, Tom, come join us, and cause he's really proud of his program. It's, easy to talk about. So,
well, he has every right to be.
Yeah, totally. So, Wow, great stuff! Really good.
And Jen,
year.
one of the most moving and personal episodes, I think, was the one where I get to talk with you about your teaching with a chronic illness for 15 years. That was episode number 6. Yeah,
that was cool. Thanks for that, because does, change how I look at, my profession. So
Sure.
yeah, that was good.
And I still think about one thing that you said has nothing to do with music at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I remember you said, like, we were talking about what some of the triggers for your MS are. And you said, somebody could come up, behind me and lay on their horn, and that can just make me go like numb.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
And I still think about that when I'm driving and I come up behind somebody who's not moving as quickly as I might like them to. And I think about that before I lay on the horn.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate, North Jersey appreciates you. I think I just like count to 3. And then every once in a while it's like, dude, you're on your phone. Beep. What else can you do? But yeah, I definitely count to 3 at a light. So,
but what a fun year this was. Were there any more episodes that stick out to you?
I mean, it was just, they're all really fun. The What's Your Why episode, I feel like it came at a point in our year where we were both getting like, we were in the grind when we recorded that one. And I went back and listened to it, the other day, and I was like, oh, I hope we really cause I was thinking about, I don't want to use the B word. I don't want to use the word, burnout, but I don't, cause I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm there, but, I did, I did go back and listen to it in hopes that, like, even though we were, we'll say, in the throes of the most difficult part of the year, I still feel like we represented our why pretty well. I thought that was really cool. And I think that speaks, a lot to your just, like your good heart towards, your students and everything. So, so good for us. Even when we were feeling pretty, we were in the thick of it. I think that that episode came out really nice. So, yeah.
So Jen, now that we've gotten the year under our belt here, we've almost gotten the school year done with. Give me a quick rundown. Any summer plans?
The beach. TJ's totally a beach bum. We're going to do 2
well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to do 2 weeks at the beach. Not consecutive, but I think, that's the plan. And a couple, beach trips thrown in there. We decided not to get like a pool membership. We're just going to, in case you're out there listening, we're going to scab off our friends' pool memberships. So invite us. We'll be there. We'll join you at your town pool and we'll pay our own guest fee. But we didn't end up joining a pool this year. I
would invite you, Jen, but I don't belong to the pool either.
Yeah, I know. It's a thing. So TJ's going to do lessons with swim lessons with Jim's daughter. She does a lifeguard thing, and she's a very accomplished swimmer for sophomore in high school. So, so she's going to help TJ get a good start with swimming, and that's pretty much it for the summer. August, I think it'll be pretty quiet. So, I'm hoping we can have our traditional, mid band camp get together at the house here, and I'll make you guys dinner after a long day of camp. Nice. And we can hang out. So that's always a good time. That's that.
Sign me up.
I was gonna say, I think that needs to be a yearly thing. How about you? What are you up to this summer?
Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We got some travel plans, heading down to North Carolina for a bit, and then we're going. We've got a Disney trip planned this summer, which we haven't done in 6 years. We went when Maggie was 4, and now we're going again now that Kate is 4, and it's super exciting.
That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something that we're not like the every year or twice a year Disney kind of people. I mean, one, it's super expensive,
so much.
But two, there's other places we want to visit and things we want to do. But I think it is nice that we get to do that while Kate's 4, and Maggie's looking forward to it too. Especially we're going to take a day in Universal and do some Harry Potter stuff.
Cool. Oh, that'll be fun. I have to tell you, everybody, at instrument demos, Erik was like, if you haven't figured it out, I'm the Disney guy. And he played I Just Can't Wait to Be King. He played, what did you just play in the saxophone? Hakuna Matata. Prince Ali. He played some really, really good Disney tunes. It was fun. So,
but I can't compete with Rush E over here.
Oh, that's right. I played Rush E on the flute.
Still don't know what that is.
It's don't bother. It's like E minor arpeggios that the kids are just fascinated with because it's just
it's truthfully it's a nice melody.
It's
like
cute,
it
right?
sounds like something you would like learn in your studies on the flute.
It does. It's like a Rubank. It must have been. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So I played Rushy on the flute as part of instrument demos alongside some more traditional things, but
like hot cross buns.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
no, I'm just kidding. That was on the bells.
Oh, that's right. I did a progression on the bells. I started with hot cross buns and we worked our way up. Yeah. But
I know you've also got you're planning on tending to the bar.
I am. Oh yeah, that's right. Thursdays at Pompton Craft House. I'll be there. You can find me there. I worked my first summer shift this past week. It was packed. It was crazy. And so I'm excited to be there on Thursdays this summer. So
that's great.
Yeah, that'll be cool. And
if you on these days when the kids are at camp or whatever, and you order your ride around northern New Jersey, I may just pick you up because I can't sit still I just can't.
Right.
So sometimes I'll just turn Uber on and go drive some folks for a bit.
There you go. That's it. And why not?
If you're a teacher looking for some extra cash in the summer, it's really not a terrible way to make a little extra on the side, especially if you're like me and you can't commit to a full summer job because you're away for a week and back for a week or away for 2 weeks and and all that stuff. It's nice. You got to just make your own hours and
it's good.
Do what you got to do.
I'm really thankful for that I'm able to do this and still take some time. So yeah. No, that's good.
Then we'll come back in September or the end of August, rested and rejuvenated and ready for your number 2 of Take a Cue.
For season 2. Actually, that reminds me. Do you have that present I left with you the other day?
Oh, I do.
Okay. I think this would be a good moment to open it.
I'm supposed to open it on the podcast?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all for show. Did you open it already?
Told me not to open it.
I know.
If you're watching on YouTube here, it's a nice pink bag with some music note paper.
It's a leftover Mother's Day bag. I'm sorry. It's the only one I could get my hands on, but I did pick out the paper specially.
Very special.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right. There's a card.
Okay.
Right,
there's a card here. And for the people who aren't watching on YouTube, it is a white card.
Okay.
A white card here.
Oh, yeah. And the same thing, the card I found in my desk. I don't know if you all do this. Hot tip.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
To me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hot tip. Keep thank you notes in your desk drawer. Just in case, because I always need a thank you note and I never remember to write it unless I have one right there. So just keep thank you notes in your desk drawer.
All right. It says, Erik, this is just to help make sure there is a season 2.
There you go.
I don't know what to make of that.
Just open it up. It's good.
Oh, goodness. All right. It's in white tissue paper here.
Okay.
Here it is. Jen, this is awesome.
You like it?
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm showing it to you. Oh, of course you have one too.
I do.
Oh, for our listeners, it is a white mug and it has on one side our logo, Take a Cue with Erik and Jen.
Mm-hmm. And on the other side, it says get out there and make great music.
Oh my gosh, that is so fun, Jen. I'm going to cherish this. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you like it. So
thank you. What a nice gift. That was so nice. And no, I did not open it ahead of time. You told me not to, and I follow directions because I'm a teacher.
That's right. Thank you. I'm glad you didn't. So I'm glad you like it. And cheers to. I've been drinking out of it the entire episode, hoping you wouldn't notice. So
I have no idea. Part of it is half of your screen is actually covered by my camera, so that's probably why.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, and so this. Actually, we got to give a little credit to Tom. Tom was the one that had them made, and
oh my gosh,
I know he's a total fan, wannabe producer, and yeah, he's like,
I love this. What a great gift! Thank you.
Isn't that nice? Okay, good. I'm glad you like
Tom.
it.
Thanks to Tom for making it happen. But yeah, thank you.
And next season we can have our like coordinated mugs when we record, and there you go. So yeah,
are you a righty mug person or a lefty mug person?
I'm definitely a righty mug person.
Okay, I'm a righty too. Yeah. So when you see me drinking, you'll see get out there and make some
great music. Isn't that great? That's so cool. So yeah, awesome. That's good.
Well, Jen, it's been a great year doing this together.
Totally. Yeah. And yeah,
like I told our supervisor, this year has been the longest 2 years of my life. So
yeah, I hear you. It's been a marathon, but a sprint to the finish. June is going by really fast. So
that's true.
Yeah,
I do agree.
Yeah, and I think that may have been the title of our last episode. Oh no, it was limping to the finish. Oops. Oh,
yeah, that was our last one. 21 was limping to the finish line.
Oops. Well, we'll get there. So, but okay, well, this was good. This was a really good year. And to our listeners, anything you want to hear in season 2, we're wide open. We have some good ideas, some nice guests lined up already for season 2. We're definitely going to get into some talk about jazz programs, some more talk about women in music. That's on the docket for next year. And more about following through on what we learned this year. So anything else for you that you're ready to bring up for next year?
I think you said it great, Jen. If any of our listeners really enjoyed what they heard today, and maybe this was your first episode, take the summer and go back and listen to some of the other ones. It's really evergreen information. It's not information that is, good for the month and then it never is applicable again. There's really great info.
Totally.
And we worked really hard to create some really great resources for you this year.
Yeah.
As you go back through the list. You can subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to give us a rating and review. If you give us 5 stars and a nice review, it helps other people find us that may not have known about us already. And another way to do that is just tell people if you really like Take a Cue. Make sure you post it on social media. Reach out to us. Tell your friends. Tell your family. If your family are band directors.
Oh, yeah. And definitely follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Always we're out there. Consider becoming a monthly supporter using the link in our show notes. You can make a secure donation, even monthly, to what we're doing. So.
And we put any money that we do make right back into the podcast. So we'd be ever grateful if you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
Erik, thanks for inviting me to be your co-host on here this year. I think this was an awesome idea, and it really changed my year. So,
likewise, I think the year is better because we got to do this together.
Totally, 100%. I'm on board. So,
indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I look forward to checking in with you off the air over the summer, and we'll be back with more episodes in September. So thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you.
And
let's get out there and make great music.
Yes.
All right.
We'll see you in September.
Okay. All right. Have a great summer.